welcome back to another episode of Ready Set Podcast. My name's Angus.
I'm Derek, and we're joined today by our two friends again, Yolanda and Grace.
Hello.
Hi.
We're back.
So, a little bit about our group dynamic is that
How much we hate each other. Right off the bat, right now.
Yeah.
Who hates who?
We got a lot of drama inside our
Derek,
group.
let me tell you about how much I don't like you.
Oh my gosh.
Is it that kind of podcast today?
Yeah, we're all gonna fight after this, gladiator
We're
stuff.
not going to be friends after. This is going to be the last podcast.
But yeah, so our group itself is a little bit of a unique dynamic in a way. So we both have boys and we both have girls in our group, and it's a fairly big group. But like we mentioned before, Yola is comfortable enough to help us out. That some of them are
We're queer.
they're queer, so they're part of the LGBTQ community, and plus. I should include that, right? Yes. I'm sorry. I never know what to include these days.
But like you could say LGBTQ to encapsulate everything if you want.
Okay. So yes. So that's sort of like my understanding or knowledge level to what it is. But yeah. So we just
I want you to name what each letter stands for, Derek.
That's a quiz. Do you guys know what it stands for?
no.
Wait, actually, I don't even. Maybe.
Really?
No, LGBTQ, yes, but like, because there's like QA, blah, blah, blah.
There's
Let's go.
more?
That's
There's
why
more?
you just say the plus.
Yeah,
but
plus to
just leave
include
it at
everything.
yeah.
Oh, you just leave it there. Oh, okay. Do you guys know how much more there is? Because that's usually in
LGBTQIA.
Is it I?
IA.
Plus? But I think that's why people just say plus
Yeah, they
after
just say
Q.
plus,
So
yeah.
Okay.
because it
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more that we don't know about. But in general media, it's LGBTQ plus. So, one of the more important parts for this minority community is that it's sometimes very hard or difficult for people to kind of come out and express that their interests don't lie in a heterosexual relationship or I don't know how else to put that, but yes. So we just wanted to kind of ask you guys about what your experiences were, not necessarily coming out, but like what it was like when you guys were growing up and, sort of how you guys sort of came to realize that you weren't really attracted to like the opposite sex kind of deal, but rather towards the same sex.
Right. Or like how we self-identify or like.
Yes, how you guys learn to, figure it out, like self-identify, like, because even at least back in my high school, like they did mention it, but I wouldn't say there was, there was those special ed courses, right? But there weren't any, I guess, like dedicated resources, like except for maybe your high school counselor to like kind of talk about these things. Even in elementary school, we didn't even have any counselors whatsoever. So it's sort of like there aren't the supports that there are today. So it's kind of interesting to ask you guys how you guys went about kind of figuring that kind of stuff out.
Like how, I guess, compared to back then, like it's a lot more open and widely accepted.
Yeah.
And like I guess it was definitely different. I've like personal experiences, like I feel like it's definitely different when we were growing up, but nowadays it might be different.
Oh, it's a lot different now, especially with the internet.
That's true.
Yeah.
You get a lot more educated, a lot more exposure, a lot more understanding.
But everyone here is like from an Asian background, right? So like it's a lot more strict at home, and usually it's a lot more
Conservative.
a lot more conservative, you know.
In general, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if your family is
More traditional.
I would say they're less accepting if they came over from Asia.
If they're if they immigrated,
yeah, so they're part of the really traditional household of Asians.
And I feel like religion kind of plays a role in it too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. So I guess one of the first questions I'd ask you would you guys be is like, when did you two first sort of had an inkling, or maybe try to figure out that that was kind of what it was instead of yes.
He said it in a very like super careful.
I'm trying to be very politically correct here.
It's okay, Derek.
Yeah. I mean, you want to go first?
Sure. I don't know. For me, I think growing up, I don't know. It was definitely like a process of like realizing that I found like girls more attractive than boys. Like I think with boys, like some of them I sort of like I don't know. I was sort of like, oh, like Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I really liked how Yugi looked. I was like, oh, I want to look like him.
Oh, the Pharaoh.
The Pharaoh, of course.
No, right?
Yeah.
Pharaoh comes on. Oh, who is that?
Yeah, like he was like really cool, but I don't think it was ever in sort of like I want to like date him kind of way. And like I don't know,
you want to aspire to beat him.
Kind of like that. I wanted to be like cool like him. And,
Yeah.
But like I don't know. And then like when it came to like my peers, I guess with like the other people, like my classmates, like like my friends would be like, it was sort of like the at that age in elementary school when like your friends are like going gaga over guys, be like, oh, Matthew from our class is like so cute, or he's like the hottest in our class, but like you don't really like feel that way.
You don't
either.
relate to that.
Yeah, like I could see it like objectively, like I guess like he is like the best looking guy in our class, but I don't have like, I don't know, I'm not like attracted to him in like the way that like my friends were. And then
so you realized that at a young age, or
I think I just sort of like I couldn't like I guess put it into like words,
right?
Or, like
you
sort of
feeling like that's what it was.
Yeah, like it wasn't like a fully developed thought in my mind yet that I was gay.
Right. Yeah.
Or and then even like through high school, or like growing up into high school, it was sort of like me like kind of like fighting like, oh, I should try to like guys because that's what everyone else,
the norm is.
Yeah.
Like general public thinks it is.
Like,
because that's like what that's just like what society is.
Yeah.
And like at the time you don't really have like any like
support systems or anything like that.
There's not much information on that either.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more so just like the people that I knew, they were all like straight.
Right.
From,
So you never like thought too much into it or questioned too much about it.
Yeah. Well, actually in high school, I think I was like grade 8 or 9, like my group of friends, I had a friend who actually identified as bi.
Yeah.
And so like she and like a bunch of our other friends, they were going to join the Gay Straight Alliance at school, the GSA. And so like at the time I didn't identify as like gay. Yeah. But like I was like, oh sure, I'll like join as an ally and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe that was sort of like the first like times of like learning about like what it was. Right. But then I don't think it wasn't until like I really got like deep into the internet and like then I kind of like learned more about it and stuff like that. Yeah.
So especially when the high school is one of those big questions with within your group of friends, like, so who do you have a crush on? And you're looking at it, you're like, I don't know.
What do I say?
My crush is you, but I can't say it.
Oh man. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we've all been in that seat more than once in our lifetime.
Oh,
like the crush thing.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about
well, I mean, it goes both ways, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, you have a crush, whether it be the same sex or some other sex, but you don't necessarily speak it out.
Yeah.
And like when you brought up that the high school thing, it made me think about you remember when Valentine's Day came along and there was those survey things that were matching you to like who they think
Pandygrams?
No, the one where you they're like who would be your best match based on the survey of questions that you answered.
Oh, and they like match you up based on what you answer.
Yeah, I realized that now. Like, I mean, it might be different now, but back then they never asked you like your sexual orientation.
They
just assumed everyone was straight. Yeah.
So like, if that was the case after you So would you say after high school was when you actually like really stepped into that that area like of knowledge that you were like, oh, I'm
I think like in high school, like I like maybe like grade like 9, 10 onwards, I kind of like accepted that I liked girls more than I liked guys. But like I didn't actually like date like a girl until after high school. But like I think I knew that I knew that I liked girls more than guys. But
like you're more attracted to
yeah,
girls than guys.
yeah.
Your parents were cool with it, right?
So like I never, I guess, like explicitly told like my parents until I actually started dating someone. Or yeah, until like yeah, it was sort of just like my mom like I'd have like my girlfriend over at my place sometimes, and so like I never like explicitly told her that this is my girlfriend. And she'd be like, oh, my friend's coming over, until she like asked like, are you dating? And I said yeah. And then
Oh wow.
yeah, it was like that. So
That's so chill.
I never
That's
like
good.
actually came out. I wasn't like, hey mom, dad, I'm gay.
Right.
It was sort of just like
It just
This
naturally
is-
happened.
yeah, like this is just what's happening. This is like my girlfriend, and yeah.
Mhm.
Your parents are actually really chill, like that, because you know how even in the news stories, there's all these stories of people's experiences out there,
Yeah.
always constantly kind of like afraid because like they're being judged. Like given that we do live in Canada and Vancouver is a very open, accepting place, I would say maybe more than certain areas of the world than a bunch, but we are still a mesh of like a lot of cultures, and like the traditional Asian household is generally not the most accepting of like those like that kind of a relationship.
Yeah.
And so because you know you see them in dramas all the time too sometimes, and you know overreacting parents and all that stuff. So yeah, your parents are really chill about that.
Yeah, like I kind of figured, because like I guess like my parents watch a lot of like, I don't know, like sometimes I'd watch like movies and like TV shows with them, and there would be like LGBTQ like representation, and it's not like they'd have like adverse reactions to it. You know, they'd be pretty open to it and stuff. So you know, like I guess like I kind of knew inside, like if it ever came down to it, like when I'd have to come out, that they would be okay with it.
Yeah.
But like, you know, even like when I was like, you know, dating my girlfriend at the time, like, you know, you never sort of want to take that step. It's sort of like a
Right.
scary step to
Right.
like
You feel
admit to your parents.
Yeah.
Announce it. Yeah.
Yeah.
conscious, scared. Kind
Yeah.
What about you, Yul? Like,
Well, my family definitely didn't accept that as easily.
Yeah.
Even like right now, my mom's not like
100% in?
yeah,
sort of?
100% in. So like for me, like I actually before I started like dating my girlfriend, like or even like thought about like dating the same sex, like I had a self-realization and all that, and then I told my parents,
Mhm.
and then they were definitely shocked. My mom was definitely like quite against it,
Mhm.
and it's definitely been a struggle, but that's
More
the thing,
accepting.
like different like cultures or different like
Traditions.
traditions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mm. So out of your two parents,
Mhm.
would you say would you have said your dad was pretty cool with it then?
He was more chill with it because I feel like because he grew up most of his childhood he spent in Vancouver, so I guess
Ah.
he was more open and more accepting versus my mom grew up mostly in like China,
Mhm.
so then that kind
Mm.
of probably
That doesn't even exist over there. Like,
well there are of course exists like there are people that are
Yeah,
like queer
but
or
it's
like,
like-
LGBTQ, but then the thing is it's not widely accepted.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's-
So yeah, it makes people like their thoughts are a lot more conservative.
yeah.
Is that even? Did they legalize marriage over in?
No,
So-
no.
definitely
No, yeah, there's very
not where we
limited-
are right
There's
now.
very
Yeah.
limited countries. Well, most Western countries, but
Mhm.
in Asia,
I think it's only like Singapore or something right now.
no, Singapore's not even.
Oh.
So
Really?
Taiwan.
Oh,
is
Taiwan.
So
Taiwan.
there's like a lot of like activists like or like they're trying
Mhm.
to make it more like they're trying to push it to be legal,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but definitely very little amount of like regions or countries that are actually
Mhm.
have it that's legally
Um,
acceptable.
Yeah, and so that sort of tad bit of information is where we kind of get the traditional Asian household is very conservative kind of values. It like sometimes it's not even due to religion. Like I understand Christianity played like a very large role in like certain parts of Asia, like Catholicism.
Catholicism.
Yeah, there we go.
This is why we have grace.
And Christianity, they were like a major influence on there. But like, I think it's just because it's when people grow up not experiencing an alternative norm, it's very difficult for them to accept that kind of thing.
Right.
So like, what kind of would you say like over time your mom became more accepting? Was it because you were just persistent, or is it because she just was like, okay, I guess it's like a reality now?
I don't know. Like, it's definitely not like 100% okay. I think it's still a work in process, but it's more like I am who I am. Like, what can you do, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're just trying to live your own life.
Yeah, essentially.
Trying to do your own thing, and you know, if people accept you.
Yeah, because what's important is like
you're happy.
You wanna, you wanna consider your own happiness first.
Well, I mean, in the end, most parents just want their kids to be happy, right? Like, in the end, it's like one, you can support yourself. Two, they're happy, and that's really all you can ask that they do, and then they're usually pretty good with that. Yeah. But it's a lot of the times I'm thinking, especially for like the minority community, is that when it does come time for them to, whether it be like naturally comes out or like they do like an actual coming out, I feel like a lot of them, it's still like a very tough process just because even as accepting as we are in the culture here, it is still not the norm. And like you guys mentioned before, like say you guys wanted to hold hands in public, you would still get some stares, like
or like you feel self-conscious because you in your mind you think, oh, this is not the heteronormative like normative, and it's you feel extra pressure on you. Yeah. But like I feel like sometimes it's like it is a lot more widely accepted now. And then I'm glad, like, especially within this friend group, everyone's very open-minded. But it's definitely a process. Like a lot, like it's still kind of like getting to a place where it could be a lot better.
Yeah. Like, would you, let's say if someone stares at you, right? Or you and your partner, would you go off on that person? Would you be like, hey?
Wait, what do you mean by?
I mean, if they're just staring, I don't want to start.
Okay, like, so if they're staring, you won't say anything. But if they do say something, would you like, you know, fight back? Be like,
well,
hey.
like I'll defend myself or ourselves.
I'm very non-confrontational. So I would just walk away.
Yeah. Come back, grab a bag of chips and throw in the face. Like, so
you wouldn't even waste that bag of chips, man.
Oh yeah.
But like, so far I haven't had anything like that personally. Like I've seen things happen. I feel like we are lucky in an age where most people in general are more accepting or in public. Like,
and to be in a city that is like, you know, as open as Vancouver is.
And we do have quite a big like queer gay community that's like quite celebrated. We have like pride parades and everything, so that's also helpful. But yeah, I can understand there's like, of course, other places where it's definitely different, right?
Yeah. And it's like, given the amount of cultures that we have, there's like the acceptance rates are different. I would say. What would you guys think are certain ways? Because like, given that we do have the internet now and people can look these up, and there are certain supports in places for the minority community, what do you guys think would benefit to help this kind of movement gain more exposure? Because like, you know, we do have a lot of stuff now, but like, do you think maybe like they should start teaching it in like high school courses or elementary?
I think they're already teaching.
I think in like most educational systems now, like
even elementary,
they do, or like at least it's like I guess like more like correct ways to like I guess address certain people. Like if they're like, I guess like if they're not like heterosexual, like then like they teach how to like not be offensive, right?
Yeah. Then be politically correct.
Yeah. I think it's like sort of like teaching people to not be so heteronormative and like assuming
everyone's straight.
Yeah. So like, I mean, even like with like, you know, in like work culture, everyone's like, oh, my partner now, instead of saying husband like, or wife.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like with my coworkers, they say my partner, but then like they refer to like he and stuff. So I'd be like, oh, okay, it's like a straight relationship.
Yeah.
But like, you know, back in the day when people would say like my partner, you usually assume that they are
of the opposite gender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I mean that's a fair point. One of the things with people saying that now it's a guessing game, especially if their partner has like a gender neutral name.
Mm-hmm.
So I had one where my coworker, my previous coworker, because I moved to a new position, but she was mentioning her partner, and her partner's name was Cody, and I was thinking, Cody can be a guy or a girl, and I she didn't say he or she, so I was like sitting there guessing like the whole conversation until like she brought her partner along to one of the workplace functions, and like it turned out it was a girl, and I'm like, oh, this is Cody, it's nice to meet you. And I'm like, well, now it's not out of the back of my head anymore.
You don't have to keep guessing.
Yeah.
You bring out a notepad and you're like, okay, checklist.
He secretly has his database of like his coworkers and list of partners.
Yeah.
Hey man, you gotta keep track. It's good for networking.
I mean, that's another thing nowadays too, like with pronouns, sort of like to not assume people's genders.
Yeah.
Yo, this whole pronoun thing, I'm not gonna lie, it's getting very confusing sometimes when it gets to the point. It's very sensitive, right? Like sometimes you could say, okay, so I had a coworker who, when I met him, he was a male, but then later on transitioned. And the thing is that his name was, I'm not gonna say his name, but it was a
more masculine.
Masculine.
Yeah. Okay, you gotta say it for me. Thank you. I'm scared.
That's okay.
Yeah, so like that, and then later transitioned to a different name, right? But like for many years, I've known him as
dumb.
What was the proper way of saying it?
Her.
I know her as a him.
Yeah.
And then later when I had to do an interview with him, I kept saying
Their dead name.
I kept saying the original name, yeah. And I kept messing up. And then later, even when we did a review with all my coworkers, kind of sync up, like, oh, do I want to move forward with that person or not? I kept saying him instead of her, and my lead had to like correct me.
Right,
like,
pull you aside.
And it's like, Angus, it's a her. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, yeah. And then I quickly go right back into him, and I'm like, oh, goddamn. Like I felt so bad, but it's so hard. I feel,
especially when you know the person.
Yeah,
for
I guess
many years, and all of a
someone
sudden,
close to you.
yeah, like that's why for me
Mhm.
it's like, oh, pronouns are, and it's, I think you can get sued for that, right?
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't think about over here, but maybe in the States.
But like, I don't know. It's just you can definitely get fired for it because
it's an HR issue.
Yeah.
But like I think as long as the person themselves doesn't take offense to it. So if you've known that person for a very long time, and you know, they should be very understanding that it's very hard for you to switch that pronoun. Whereas like if a brand new person meets them, they would already self-identify as a female, right?
But the thing is that sometimes it can't, like the person's okay with it, but other people won't be okay with it. You can't control how other people feel, right? If other people are, let's say, trying to
no, but
I mean,
for
other
this-
people are
Yeah.
like, oh no, I will not give you, I will not.
I would not accept this.
yeah, I will not accept this because you like if that person is okay,
Mhm.
but then other people might think differently. Oh, you're so inconsiderate, or you know, insensitive.
But I think
and
the
all
or
that
like
stuff.
about you, like
About yeah, there's always gonna be those cases. Yeah, because there's, you know, can't control whatever people's feeling.
I mean, first and foremost is you didn't come from an ill intention.
Yeah.
which is the important
I
part.
know.
And
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But I feel
You can't
people would
help that.
always.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes it's
As
just
long as you know that you have good intentions and you didn't mean to like misgender that
yeah.
person, then it's fine.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
just think that like, you know, you feeling that way is nothing compared to what she is feeling like now,
Mhm.
like with people that do purposely
Like,
misgender
yeah.
her and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That made me feel so much better.
Counseling session. Yeah.
I think about this all the time.
It's like, hey, don't you have the HR meeting on Monday?
Oh man, yeah, that's like I guess it's like especially when you start working like in more modern like tech companies, very sensitive to these
Mm.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
Even then at work, sometimes I have to think twice or even 3 times in my head. I'm like, can I say this? Can I not say this? And then sometimes I don't even say anything. Just be on the safe side. I'm just like super quiet.
I mean, it's good that workplaces are putting more like emphasis and on this, more awareness and everything. Yeah,
But sometimes I feel it's
it's a work in progress because like I feel like our generation we still grew up with a lot of like heteronormative views and then it's just ingrained. But it's definitely something that we all have been working on, right?
yeah. But I know like we've been asking like both of you a lot of questions. Like Derek, how did you know when you were straight?
Oh, that was a pretty early on, you know.
I think we
Ah,
used that
yeah,
as a joke last time.
yeah.
No, it's not a joke.
Yeah, that was not a
It's
joke.
a serious question.
Okay. I
Pretty
mean,
early
true.
on, though.
Yeah.
It's,
We
That's
should do
probably
something
like
too.
definitely high school because I had like a whole high school crush and everything.
oh,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean,
you know the pretty girls walk down the hall. You like
that was you. And then she's like, "That's the creepy one." I love that one.
Yeah.
Then you'd be like, oh.
Oh man.
I mean, that's the thing about being like heterosexual. It's
Yeah.
the norm. You
Yeah.
don't
You don't
question
have
it.
to
You're just like,
question
you
it.
know,
You don't have to
you're not
come
like,
out.
oh, this is something wrong that I'm feeling,
Yeah.
liking someone that I'm not supposed to like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
Mm.
like that. So that's like, you know, for you guys when you were liking girls, that's like, you know, the way that it's supposed to be.
It's like you get a free pass.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
It's not
free
anything
pass.
that you
you
have
have
to like
worry
question.
about, kind of. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, sure.
like you don't question it.
Well, like, because that's just in general what the public feels like is the norm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one. When did you? I know you guys like eventually you at the group became comfortable and confiding with the rest of the group, like you know, sexual identity and all that stuff. But say like even before we met our groups, like how comfortable were you guys disclosing that to your other group of friends? Because you know that's sometimes people take like a don't tell, don't ask, or don't ask, don't tell kind of approach to it. But like, do your other friend groups know? And it's like, if so, when did you guys sort of?
Yeah, my other friend
tell
groups
them.
know, and it was very, like I said, I never actually had to do like a coming out and like sort of
Yeah.
telling them
Yeah.
I'm gay. It was very much I have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm dating someone.
Mhm.
It's a girl. This is her name. This is what she looks like.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And like, yeah, they were all like pretty accepting of it. It was never very much like a, oh, I'm proud of you sort of moment. It was just like, oh,
Like, it's like,
Put a hand on your shoulder and be like,
yeah.
"I'm so proud of you," and you're like, "What?"
Yeah. And I think like, you know, I was lucky that, you know, my friend groups are like very accepting of that.
Mhm.
No one was like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
against it.
right.
So I was lucky that I have friends that are supportive like that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I think like, you know, it should sort of, I feel like at least for me, I like that it was like that.
Mhm.
I didn't have to like come out. I didn't have to do that whole step.
Yeah.
And I think it's sort of like society should eventually get to that point where it is like that. You just
Right.
introduce the person that you're dating.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that
That's
step
the
of
norm.
I'm gay.
Right.
It's just like,
That's just the norm.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So I guess like, you know, for, you know, you explained all your experiences and everything. For anyone that's, you know, trying to figure them out or themselves out and who are pretty young, is there any
Advice
advice you'd give?
or tips?
Yeah, advice or tips to kind of like maybe be more comfortable with themselves or even, well, you didn't come out. You just went with the flow,
yeah.
which is good. That could be another like great thing, but any like tips and advice that you would give for younger generation that's struggling through this?
Mm. Like I feel like nowadays is a lot more accepting,
Yeah.
and
But
like
even
whether they're like any situation in like from identity to like gender or whatever, like just be confident, and like everyone's unique and it's okay to be who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of, it's people sort of figure themselves out at different
Yeah.
speeds, different
Yeah.
paces. Like for most people, like, like there's even people that are like in their 40s or like married,
Right.
and then they eventually
Then they
like come
realize,
out.
yeah.
They like
Mhm.
realize, right?
Mhm.
So like, it's okay if you don't know everything yet. Like
Yeah.
if you're still questioning, like
Mhm.
you want to take that time and figure yourself out and
Mhm.
what's right for you. If
Yeah.
it's,
Just-
whether that's like your sexuality or your gender
Yeah.
or whatsoever,
Yeah.
like
Just be comfortable with who you
explore
are.
yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And find yourself some good friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
biggest thing is
Important.
support group, right?
Yeah. Friend groups, support groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like these days, a lot of like, I think there's a lot of like queer kids that like that kind of figure themselves out through the internet,
Yeah.
and like because they don't have people like offline, like I mean, like you guys, like I all met you online,
Right.
and like
right.
like Yol and all my other like female friends here, they're like the most of my friends in this group are queer, like the female friend, not the male friend. So like that's like the bulk of like I guess like my queer friend group, but
Mhm.
it's like don't be afraid to like explore online, I guess, and try to meet other people that's like minded, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
but yeah, you want to try and find your group.
Yep.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well said. All right. I guess we'll end it there.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments below if you've had, similar experiences, or if you've, had friends who have had, struggles coming out. Everybody has their own path in life. And so the fact that society has progressed to a point where we are very accepting of, such things, it's become a very good thing. And like, if you want to let us know in the comments if you have had any similar experiences. We have our socials. Please like and subscribe on YouTube if you want to see more podcasts, and all of our audio podcasts as well as video links are in our link tree down below. We'll see you next time on the Ready Set podcast.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.